Hi Flosstube, it's Amy the Gables Stitcher back with the stitching update. It is April 5th, 2019, and it really has only been about a week since my last update, but I have actually gotten quite a bit of stitching done in that period of time. So I had a little time, I figured I would come back, do an update, share my stitching so I wouldn't forget what I had done and hopefully have a little bit of a shorter video this time. Thank you for all my returning viewers. I love reading your comments. Thank you so much for continuing to watch, and welcome to everybody who is new. So with that, let's get started with the stitching. I had a finish. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll put my link down below. It's Gables Stitcher. I did post it on Instagram. Small finish. The piece is called Salem. It's by Stitch with Verbena on Etsy. It's a small pattern. It is only 80 by 80. I started it last summer and I finished it early this week. So technically an April finish, but I think it was like April 1st or 2nd I finished it. So it is done on 40 count linen by XU Designs. I will put a link for her Etsy shop in the comments as well. It is showing up pretty true to color. It's a little bit lighter on the screen. It's about pretty true. Greens are really hard to photograph, I'm learning, but that's pretty true to color. And I did it in DMC 310 and a Weeks orange that I had hanging around. I forget what color it was. You totally could have just chosen a DMC orange. I think it calls for 720. And I mean, you can't really see much variegation. I just had it, so I figured I would use it. So it did call for orange and green highlights. However, I did put one green highlight in. You can see it going down the wing of the bird. And I realized that it did not show up very well. So I decided to do all the highlighted areas in orange instead. So it's done. I really enjoyed the stitch. The pattern was very easy to read. It was very well designed. I loved all the little motifs, the little Quaker motifs. And I hopefully will have it FFO'd by my next video. I have a little frame to put it in, and I already have a spot picked out for it. So that's my finish, and that makes 5 finishes for the year. So I am quite pleased with that. I was really hoping to have a finish a month, finish between 10 and 12 things this year, and right now I am ahead of that pace. So it's good. I figured last year I had about 15 finishes, but a lot of them were really small pieces, or they were the low-hanging fruits, whips I had hanging around for a long time that did not need much to finish. So this year I'm okay with fewer finishes, but I want to get some good work done on some of my bigger whips that are hanging around. And so far it's worked out pretty well. I had a new start. My last video, I had showed the sampler I got on Etsy for my nephew, H is for Henry. I have to apologize. I put no links in my last video, and I usually put links. As my last video was uploading, my in-laws were like pulling down the driveway as soon as I hit upload. So they were visiting until late Sunday night, so I did not go back to upload any putting links in, but I will put links in this video. So I pulled out 2 Victorian Motto flosses to do it with. Let's see how this, yep, the green's not quite that dark. Some white to hold it up against. Neither is the blue, actually. They're both a little bit lighter than what they're showing. That's a little bit better. It's a little bit truer to color. The green is teal brocade, and the blue is called storm sky. I really like those. So they both, the green really has like a bluish tinge in it. So they go well together. So I went through my fabric stash and I had nothing to do this on. I either had some really big pieces of 40 count that I didn't really want to cut up to do this because I have projects planned for them, or I had smaller pieces of 32 count that I liked the color, but the piece really wasn't going to fit on it. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I picked up a piece of 28 count even weave. It's a Zweigart. It's cream in color. And it's fabric's looking blue, but it's not. And that's where I am. So I like the color of the fabric. I'm not enjoying the fabric. I don't know if it's because if it's an even weave or the fabric itself. I do stitch an even weave. I prefer linen, but I do stitch an even weave. And this fabric, to me, it's supposed to be 100% cotton, but it almost feels like a polyester to me. And I know it's not because it says 100% cotton. But I don't feel like my stitches are lying very well. I mean, I think it looks fine from a distance, but it's almost like the thread sticks as I'm pulling it through. And I'm not thrilled about that, but it looks okay. I'm going to finish it. As I was working on it, I realized I'm looking at it and I'm really going through the teal. I'm like, I'm not going to have enough teal. And I didn't even think about that because with the Victorian motto threads, you get 20 yards, which is a lot of floss. I tend to stitch on 40 count a lot, and I use one strand of floss. So a skein of floss, like a regular DMC skein, lasts me forever. But this is 28 count. So I'm going through floss twice as fast, more than twice as fast, because it's like doing it on 14 count versus doing it on 20 count. And I'm using 2 strands of thread versus 1. So as I was getting partway through, I was thinking, I'm not going to have enough floss. So I emailed Nancy, and Nancy's son got back to me, and they didn't have any more of this floss, which I didn't expect they would. Most of her flosses are limited edition, and I don't even know when I got this one. It was probably a while ago because I switched to all prims about 3 or 4 months ago. So it's probably been in my stash for about a year. Luckily, I went through my DMC and I found a DMC that's close enough that I've been using a blended needle. And with the blended needle, with the DMC, it blends in fine. And actually, you really can't tell. I have gone through, and most of these motifs are half and half, as in half blended needle and half just the Victorian motto. So I'm going to blend for the rest of it. So the only problem is I only have one. I have 2 of this DMC, and they're different colors. I just bought this one, so I need to go get one. I'm going to try to do that today. I get the same dye lot to make sure, because I'm going to need 2 DMCs, I think. And that will essentially stretch this twice as far, so I should have enough. So as a new start and a whip, I forgot to show a whip on my last video. This is Into All a Good Night, Blackbird Designs. I had started this in December. This is an old loose feather. And I had pulled it out for the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. It was a homework assignment. I think you need to stitch something that had like a night sky in it. That was one of the things I could count. And this worked. So I filled in some of the mortar, so you can see, because it looks different here than over here. So, and then I went and did outline the window. than the started outline the door. My plan for this project was to mostly do the bricks, and then I can go back and outline, fill in the mortar. Just because it's a nice easy stitch. I can sit down and watch TV and just fill it in while I'm watching TV. So this is really enjoyable. I am really, really enjoying this. The only thing that's given me a little bit of trouble is I'm stitching this in hand, and some of the stars at the top, that one, there's 3 of them, they're queen stitch, and I really couldn't get a good queen stitch. So at the end, I'll probably put it in a hoop to get those queen stitches done. But I'm using all the called for weeks and Plastic Colorworks for that. Okay, so that was an old whip from before. After my last video, I pulled out Satsuma Street 12 Days of Christmas, and I am doing the full version versus the ornaments. And my goal is to do a day a month. I started in September, and that would give me an August finish. But ideally, I kind of would like to finish it by the end of July, because I might enter this in a fair. I'm liking the way it's turning out. And I think, I need to look, I think the fair entries might need to be there September 1st. So it would just, if I finish it in July, it gives me a little more time to frame. So, when you last saw this, I had just finished block 6. And I'm supposed to be at block 7 at the end of March. And I actually finished block 7 at the end of March. So I am finally caught up. So I had been very behind. I did the first month, and then I did not, I let it go for 2 months. So I've been behind since October. So now I'm caught up. So 7 was 7 Swans A-Swimming. And it's a beautiful swan there. So that's all stitched. I have the border laid in for block 7, and my goal is to get block 7 done this month. I've got to say that, I mean, it's block 8. Block 8 is one of the blocks I'm not really looking forward to. So, because there's a lot of color changes and moving the needle. So, I think that after block 8, my favorite rows of blocks is the bottom row. And I'm really forcing myself to do block 8. So, then I'll have all the blocks that I'm really looking forward to. So, I just need to do it. So, I think I finished that block Sunday night, and I had to put it away at that point because I stitched on it pretty much. I stitched on it a lot this weekend, and it was really good to get it done. I felt good, but I needed a little separation from it. So that is being stitched on 28 count Monaco in the called for DMCs. All right. Next whip, I've been doing this as my travel piece. And I forgot to bring it out last time, but I don't think I have anything done on it. So this is Spooky Countdown by the Primitive Hair. I am doing the full version. Excuse me, not the little boxes that require 30 things to be finished in the pillows. So my goal is a block a weekend, the equivalent of a block a weekend, so I can have it finished by Halloween. And I've been thinking of how I want to finish it. I have some ideas, so we'll see how it pans out But I think I'm going to try to do it on, thinking I might stretch it onto a piece of foam board. And if you watch Priscilla and Chelsea, Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, they do a lot of interchangeable decorations where they put magnets on things, and that way you can change them out for the season. Their style of finishing is definitely a lot frillier than mine. I pick up a lot of ideas from them, but their actual finishing is definitely it's beautiful, but it's a little bit much for me. I like things like, like straight lines, not a lot of ruffles. I'm a horrible duster, so anything that has a straight edge is better, and is under glass is going to fare better in my home than anything with lots of ribbons. So, but my thought for this is if I can find something nice to display it on, I can interchange different seasonal things on it. It doesn't need to have ribbon and bows and flowers. It could just be something I interchange. So, see if I can find anything. So, spooky countdown. Here's where I am. I think the last time you saw it, I had done the witch's hat. I'm technically like 2 blocks behind. March had 5 weekends, so I should be on block 13, and I have just finished block 11, and I started outlining and doing block 12. So a little behind, but that's okay. Like I said, I think I'm going to make this my travel piece for the near future. It only has like 6 colors, and I have between 2 and 3 hours, between 3 and 4 hours a week where I sit for extracurricular activities. So I'm thinking I can probably get caught up on that. I'm actually going to try to outline some of the blocks today because we have a very band-heavy weekend. My oldest has 2 band competitions tomorrow. So 1 band competition isn't enough. So I'm going to be doing a lot of sitting and driving. So I might try to outline the blocks tonight, and that way I might be able to stitch a couple of them during the day tomorrow while I'm waiting. So that's Spooky Countdown. That is done on Coffee and Tea dyed MGC Textile 32 linen by me. My last whip is Modern Folk Embroidery, the 2018 Sal. So when last you saw this, I showed you how to use the boo-boo stick. I had ripped out all of this. So basically, it was like this. So I stitched pretty much here over this week. So, and this is the block for March 2018. I originally thought it'd be nice to finish this in March because then I would kind of be like up to date as far as a year late. But if I did March, and the April block is down here. So kind of just like keep up on it. We'll see. When I made that huge mistake, I really had to rip a lot out. It kind of took the wind out of my sails for a little bit. But, I mean, this is pretty much the end of the block right here. I think I'm going to need to move the Q-snap to get the border in. It's probably like right here because this is repeated. The border goes a little bit more to the top and then it angles down like it does on the other side. So, I love this. And talk about floss going like forever when you work on 40 count. This is my second skein of DMC. So using DMC 3802. Second skein. And keep in mind that I started this the wrong way with the fabric. And I still need to frog that. So that's pretty much one of the reasons why I started stitching on 30 count, 40 count, because I started finding patterns I really loved that called for specialty flosses or silks. And I realized that if I did them on 36 or 40 count, then I would only use half of the amount called for. So I didn't feel as guilty buying silk if I was using half as much. So, yeah, and I really like, I'm not a huge fan of 36 count. I feel like one strand for me isn't quite the coverage I want. If it's something primitive, it's good, but I much prefer 40 count. 40 count is my preferred linen, and this is a 40 count Newcastle in cream. And the cream Newcastle has like a little pinky hue to it, so that color floss goes really well with it. So that's why when I was doing the Henry sampler, I was kind of shocked at how much floss I was using. And then, you know, when I realized 28 count, I was using literally more than double the floss that I would use on 40 count. It made more sense. So I think I'll be okay. Like I said, I can't pick out where the blended thread is, and I should have enough with blending it. So we'll see. Plans. For the next week or so, I would love to work on Spooky Countdown to get caught up on that. Like I said, right now I'm technically like 2 blocks behind. So, and if you count to the end of the month, I need 6 blocks by the end of the month to catch up. So I would like to work on that, and I think that will be my travel piece this weekend. I would like to finish Modern Folk Embroideries March. I am really enjoying working on that right now. So I will continue to go with it. And I really want to work on Henry. So I'm not loving working with this, and it's mostly because of the fabric. The pattern's easy to read. I love the pattern. I love the threads. I do have to say, having to figure out, would I have enough thread and what am I going to do if I don't have enough thread, might be playing into that. So, but I think it's mostly the fabric. I did buy an extra piece of it. I think I'm going to return it. So, yeah, so this pattern is actually 6 pages. It's considerable, but this is a good portion of 1 page. So I would like to finish this as soon as possible. So I would like to work on that. And the other thing I would like to work on this next coming week is my Constance Thayer sampler, the R&R sampler that I'm working on. I'm just really drawn to that right now. I hear it calling me from its bag, saying, come work on me. So as soon as I finish March on the Modern Folk Embroidery, I am going to pull out Constance and work on her for a few days. Like I said, I don't think I will finish Constance this year, but I would like to put a lot of work into her. I like to get really far into it because I would like her to be a finish at the beginning of next year if she's not a finish this year. I figured out I have 4 2003 whips. I'm pretty sure there's 4. 2 are big, 2 are small. Well, no. 1 is big, Constance Thayer. I have 2 Just in the End band samplers, which aren't huge, but I need to be in the right mind to work on them. And I have a Heart's Content, which is over 1, which I also need to be in the right mood to work on. So over the next couple of years, I would like to move out the 2003 whips. I was thinking while I was driving the other day that there's certain categories that you never get rid of. So whenever I see on the news or on Facebook, someone is like the oldest person in the world, they had their birthday, I think that that's a little bit of a depressing, like award to have, because you can only lose it. like, you're not going to live forever. You know, you're the oldest person in the world, but pretty soon someone else is going to be the oldest person in the world. And you know, whips are kind of that way. I'm all excited because I got rid of my pre-2000 whips, but there's still an oldest whip waiting in the wing. So now, you know, I have the pre 2010 whips are kind of weighing in my mind. And I actually don't think I have many 2010 and onward whips because I was finishing things or I had my big few years in there where I wasn't stitching. But so now that my, you know, pre-2000 whips, my last millennium whips are gone, I would like to work on my 2003 whips next, the next ones that I'd like to go out. So 25 minutes. Haul, I don't really have much. When I was emailing Nancy about the floss, I realized I never received my March floss and fabric from her. And it turned out, we looked at the shipping notification, it had been lost somewhere in the postal system. So she's going to send my March with April. So I don't have any to show, but I will have a nice package coming in April. And I've got to say, if you are looking for some hand-dyed floss, like a hand-dyed floss club, Nancy Turner Victoria Model Shop is a great one to start with. The floss colors are gorgeous. You get a good amount of floss. A lot of people will get it and split it with a friend. One will get one type and someone will get another, and they split it, and you still have a good amount of floss. But beyond that, like, Nancy is amazing to work with. She is so nice. She's very responsive, and she's just a really, you know, really just a pleasure. So I'll put her link below too. She does not have an Etsy shop. She has an eBay shop and a blog, and you can purchase things through her blog. If you email her, she puts you on the list. But I do have two things. One is, this isn't a gift, but isn't a cross-stitch thing, but this is a card that I received from my good friend Celeste, who I know watches my videos. But she is a fellow crafter. She makes cards. She used to be a stitcher, and hopefully I can convince her to maybe stitch a little bit again. But she is paper crafter extraordinaire. So she sent me a card this week. So thank you, Celeste. It is beautiful. So it was 100% handmade by her. So she does card making videos actually, which is a thing besides Flosstube. There are card makers that make videos, and I will put her YouTube link in my comments. So she is incredibly creative, and she always sends me a card at just the right time. It's like getting a hug from a friend who's far away. And my only haul, I had ordered this a while ago. I had talked about ordering some 55 count Kingston linen, and it came in. It took a little while because it was from Canada. I ordered from Traditional Stitches in Canada. And I just ordered cream. And I'm looking at it, and it really does not look that much smaller than the 40 count. So, which is good to know because I ordered a big piece. So I think this is a fat half. It was a really good price. And then I ordered, she had some odds and end scraps that were discounted. So I do need to serge it, but I know you're not going to be able to see it. It is smaller than 40 count, but it's not so much smaller that I don't think I can work with it. I think I might need to use a magnifier until I get used to it, and I don't think I'll be able to work on it late at night or early in the morning, but I think I am looking forward to trying it. So I got it because I don't want to do the Adam and Eve sampler by Permanent Copenhagen on the 32 count fabric that it called for because I don't want it to be that big. So I had ordered the 55 count because I wanted to see what it looked like. I'm thinking I might do it on that, and I have a number of really big samplers that I want to do, which is why I want to clear out my 2003s. And you only have so much wall space. So I think some of the big ones I might do in 45 or 55 count or 40. But I wanted to try the 55, and I'm looking forward to trying it. As soon as I serge it, well, I shouldn't say as soon as I serge it. I want to finish some more things before I start anything. But I'm looking forward to it. So, and that is it. So, 30 minutes. I had a great time stitching this week. I have really enjoyed all my projects. I am enjoying stitching right now, and that's a really good thing. I have been watching a lot of Flosstube while I've been stitching. My husband worked a lot this week and late nights, so I had some time to watch some Flosstube and stitch. And let me try to think. I'm going to just name a few of them and put some links down below. Because sometimes it's nice to find a new Flosstuber. I was watching Belinda the Aussie Stitcher. I actually have not seen her videos before, and she was great to watch. I watched Lisa's Stitching and Stuff, and her videos are great. She is from New Zealand, and she is one of those that I think if we lived close together, we could definitely be friends, because her interests and my interests are very much alike. And when she was showing some of her old projects, a lot of them were projects that I have done in the past too. I discovered recently Quirks and Stitches, Jen Lee, and she is doing a 24-hour cross stitch part 2. And her videos are great. And she's another one where every time she posts a project, I swear that it's something in my stash or something I've stitched. So her videos are really good. Her mom stitches, her husband stitches, and I'll link her down below too. And Who's Her Apple? Who's Her Apple is a local to me stitcher in Massachusetts, and we were messaging, and we're actually closer than I thought we were. So she is a new Flosstuber. We started Flosstubing about the same time, and she has great projects and videos, and she is away with her husband right now, but when she comes back, we are hoping to get together for lunch and stitching, so that will be great. And that's it. So have a wonderful stitchy week. I will put links below. I'm not going to do any editing, but I will put my links in this week. And thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting. And just thank you for your continued support. And thank you for stitching, because, you know, if we weren't all stitching, then we wouldn't have all these neat things to stitch, because the resurgence of cross stitch in the last 5 to 10 years has been great. It's been great to see so many new people stitching, so many new designers, and just renewed interest. It's been really exciting to see it happen after the cross stitch community really dwindled down when brick and mortar stores took a hit. So thank you. And that's it. Have a great weekend, and see you next time. Bye.